Let's go with the wrong way. Well, hey there. Welcome back. I know you know me well enough that you can already hear me laughing, which means I'm finding something funny or ironic, or I'm going to engage in a bit of hypocrisy. 2 out of 3 is not bad. My podcast episodes are typically experimental psychology, how to improve your life, time, energy, and resources, this crazy thing I noticed that I think you should be aware of. Some of them are actual business episodes where they talk about an aspect of doing business, improving your business, and so forth. That's what this one is about. It involves networking events and the byproduct thereof. Some of us like networking events in which our extroverted self has a place and a time to be free and frolic and meet other people. Some of us, not so much. I know a few people that I think are just a joy to be with and they love doing that sort of thing. They come across very genuinely. And there are some people that are introverted and they just hate it. They talk to one person and they run away. Today's rant, I mean today's useful, helpful podcast is about the right and the wrong way to approach a networking event. Let's go with the wrong way. The wrong way to approach a networking event would be to do the following. Use the event to collect as many cards as you possibly can. Spend as little time as possible getting to know the people, but rather see them as just sort of a delivery mechanism for a business card. Then take the business card and then wait a week, 2 weeks, whatever. And then text all of these people, yes, I said text, all of these people with a cut and paste 3-paragraph message at 2 o'clock on a Sunday. Why would you do this? Let me tell you why someone would do this. They would do this because they want to use the shotgun effect to reach as many people as possible and essentially use these business cards as a mailing list. Not just a mailing list on steroids, because the open rate for text messages is insanely high. And I say insanely high because expectations for marketing is really, really low. I'm not talking about my really, really low expectations for marketing because, that's the way it's gone. But I'm talking about industry standard expectations. I mean, I think the open rate or the response rate, rather, for those cards you can get in the mail is something like around 2%. So if you send out something to people hoping for a response, I'm not talking about people purchasing. I'm talking about a response rate. The response rate for those cards is something on the order of 2%. The open rate for emails is, 10, 15, 20, depending on what you're using. You can track things like that with MailChimp and so forth, right? The open rate for text messages is something like in the 80 or even 90%. That's amazing. And why would that be? It's because people expect a text message to be from someone they know. It's because people don't sit at their desk 24/7 and wait for an email and then open it. It's because text messages get to them whether they're eating dinner or visiting with family or outside gardening. As long as their phone's with them and it can communicate and buzz or beep or what have you, it's going to say, hey dude, do you have a text message? And that person's expectation is, oh, my mom texted me. Oh, my wife texted me. Oh, my husband texted me while I'm at the store. I told him to text me in case he needed something. Oh my God, I got a text message and I'm worried about somebody who's going to go into surgery. That's why the open rate is so high. Not because it's a unique form of communication that people just happen to look at. So when you send a text message for business purposes, you're writing that on top of something that is used for personal business. Now, I will tell you that I wrote an article and I did a podcast episode about why texting is bad for relationships. And it's not just personal relationships, but it is also business relationships, which is entirely different than talking about the fact that people use texting for business, which again is different than people using text as an introductory marketing method. Are you with me so far? If you're with me and you've followed everything I just said, you're probably experiencing the same feeling I feel when I receive one of these. Because something works doesn't mean it's right. Knocking incessantly on somebody's door and ringing their doorbell and saying, oh my God, you have to come outside, would probably get a lot of response. It would also make a lot of people angry. So again, the wrong way to approach a networking event is to use humans as just meat puppets handing you cards with information that you are going to turn into your mailing list on steroids. And then to further enhance the annoyance, cut and paste a generic paragraph. And to even put a cherry on the top, send it on a Sunday, which we mostly universally think of as non-work time. And if you don't think it's non-work time, I understand you may have a job that requires you to work on Sunday. Maybe you're an entrepreneur that likes to work on Sunday. And if you do, you and I are going to have a big long lecture talk about time, energy, and resources and having balance in your life. This comes from me, who is at 6:30 on a Sunday sometimes writing a book. So I get it. But still, balance. The right way to network is to be open-minded and look to meet people, to learn as much about them in person as you can, to talk as little as possible and until the person forces you to talk, which is a really kind of a fun game. They'll say, oh, I've said enough about myself. Tell me about you. And that's a really good feeling because they've opened a big giant door for you. And you've earned that door because you were listening genuinely to what they had to say. And in listening genuinely to someone, you may trade numbers, and you probably will with them. But thinking in your mind, you're probably focusing on, okay, they just explained who they are, what they do, what their motivation is. Who do I know that would benefit from that? Who do I know who would benefit them? That's it. That's all there is to it. That's really the essence of what networking is supposed to be, or at least what your approach should be based on my humble opinion. I think the world would be a much better place if that's what people did. And if you go to a lot of networking events, you will actually hear people say this. This is what you really should be doing, etc., etc. You will find that if you focus on that, you'll end up making very meaningful connections, and it'll feel really good when you connect person A to person F, and you're in the middle at C, D, or E somewhere, because they will remember that you made that connection. You will be a meaningful connection to them, and if you want to read the status game, you'll also find that you're making a status link connection between two people, which makes their connection a lot higher, more efficient, and more meaningful. Hopefully, when you do exchange information with a person, it will be because you may use them in the future, you may refer them, you may refer someone to them, as I just said, or you may decide that you want some sort of one-on-one with them where the two of you sit down and have coffee and have a chat. And the chat is going to end up being about the business, how they got into the business, life, the universe, and everything, and so forth. And you'll truly have made a connection which may end up in friendship, which is a really, really cool thing. But contrast that to getting a cut and paste paragraph or 3 on a Sunday from somebody who collected your card simply to put you on their mailing list on steroids. So, I hope you enjoyed this rant. I do fully believe in this. I know a number of people actually that I've met even recently, I think this year, the year of this podcast, that I think are really good people, and they follow this instinctively. And you can tell in their connections and relationships. They're real super low key. They talk to you. They never seem salesy. And you would buy their stuff in a heartbeat if you had a need for it. You would connect them in a heartbeat to someone else. And they're always on your mind when it comes to business stuff. And they'd be the last people to do this to you. So be those people. Please, please, I'm asking you, be those people, not the other person, okay? So, again, thank you so much for your time. This ended up being 10 minutes, and I think it was just perfect. And I'm more than happy to hear about your horror stories or your success stories too. So keep them coming, and thank you. Have a great day.
Living life every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days. Yeah.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the podcast, you might enjoy my books. Check them out on Amazon.
Living life every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days.